Okay, awesome. So I am going to go ahead and start. So my name is Claudia Vidal. I live in Bayville, New Jersey, but I'm originally from New York. So I still consider myself a New Yorker. Today we'll be speaking about 3 tips on how to navigate stress in the work environment. I'll try to make it as simple as possible. I will also intend to make this an experiential process for you so that you're not just looking at me and hearing me speak. Just to give you a brief description about the talk, this conversation, it's about stress management, specifically in the workplace. And the learning outcome is to find 3 ways that you can apply immediately today, hopefully, after this session, that can help you deal with anticipatory time, encounter, and other type of stressors that happen every day in the workplace. So if you can, please share your name, where you're from, and you can do this in the chat. And if you can think of a moment, it could be recent or maybe in the past where you had a stressful encounter at work. Don't need to type too much details, just like a moment of when you had an encounter that caused some level of stress. And that could have been recent, or it could have been maybe 5 years ago. While you do that, I'll share one particular one. I recall maybe 5 years ago, maybe a little longer, I used to have this big relationship with my commute to work. So there was always traffic. And I remember vividly creating all these stories in my head as I would head to work, because it was always traffic and I was always there 5 minutes late. And it didn't matter what I did. It didn't matter if I got the kids ready a little earlier. It didn't matter. Somehow I just felt like the Cross Bronx, which is that parkway that I had to take to go to work, something would always happen that would make me get there late. And on my way to work, I would create these stories around how I was going to get fired, how I am going to get written up, how I'm going to miss this meeting that was so important. And it will cause a tremendous amount of stress. It was affecting me at all levels, emotionally, physically, mentally. And of course, my relationships, not only at work, but also at home, because it had that sort of trickle effect. So with some of the strategies I'm going to share today, I was able to manage not only that particular situation, but also other situations that I have encountered moving forward. I am seeing some of the names here. Thank you, John. Thank you, Pranya. So if you had an encounter, it could have even been this morning, maybe something, and it could have been time related. It could have been a situation. It could have been anticipatory, which is one of the most prominent ones. That I think I just gave a description of that, the one where you're actually creating stories around things that perhaps will never happen. It's all in your head. So like 90% of the time, you're basically living the story that never comes true. But it's very real to us. It's real to us in the moment. Hello, Valerie. Thank you for joining. So I feel like often we do this subconsciously because we're not even knowing that it's something that we just driven by every single day. And it could be, as I said, something as simple as the commute. It could be getting the kids ready to go to school. It could be meeting that person, that client, that vendor that you're supposed to meet today. And you're creating all the stories around how bad the meeting is going to go. What if the sale doesn't go through? What if you lose that client? What if your boss ends up recommending you for something that is really beyond your control? Hello, Craig. Nice to see you too. So what is stress? My question to you is, what is stress? To me, and I think to most of us, stress is something being too much. So we could name it. We use stress a lot, that word's very common. But when we define it, it's something or someone being too much. So we either have a relationship with someone at work, or we have tasks that are so overwhelmingly big that they just become too much. So what do? We name it. And that name is stress. So we say, this person stresses me out. My boss stresses me out. My staff stresses me out. This particular task that I have to do stresses me out. And we normally name it. The thing about it is that although there is some truth to it, and in general, the broad idea is that it is stressful, it's something that is too much. Often what we don't do is reflect on it and say, hey, what exactly am I feeling because of this situation? So an example would be, Jessica stresses me out at work. So, you describe it to anyone. I had a bad day. I had to deal with Jessica again. One more day of her stressing me out. But when we really go back and we kind of, think about what exactly is it that I'm feeling, emotions come up. So some of the emotions that might come up is probably fear. It's probably sadness. It's probably disappointment. It's probably anger. Maybe there's just some other things that are boiling up that has led to this event for months, for days, for years, that had made you feel like this relationship with Jessica is just a stressful relationship. So instead of us addressing it, what we constantly do is that we keep reliving the situation with the Jessica person, or with that task that you constantly have to do every day at work. So how can we sort of create that behavior change immediately so that we don't have to continuously repeat the same cycle, so that we don't have to continue dealing with another Jessica tomorrow? The way that you do that is that first tip, you create an identity. What is the identity that you want to be known for, so that you can get out of that particular situation and relationship with Jessica? For instance, identity with Jessica right now is that she stresses me out. I'm tired. I'm annoyed by her. What if you can create a different relationship with her by just shifting your identity? And what is your identity? Are you being a loving employee? Are you being a supportive boss? Are you being a productive staff if she was to be your boss, right? Naming an identity to your actual role can definitely shift the behavior right away. Because if your relationship with Jessica is stressful because you're making it late to work, or because you're not meeting your deadlines, perhaps it's because that relationship that you've built throughout the past has all been around that negative connotation of, I don't like her style of work. I don't like the time limits that she puts on me. I don't like her way of talking. I don't like her way of asking. But if you shift your identity saying, am I being supportive? That changes automatically, because now it's no longer about Jessica and it's no longer about you. It's about the job itself. It's about what, in fact, am I getting done today? Am I getting it done? And once you look at that bigger picture, now that stressful situation around Jessica goes way beyond what you were thinking about in the past. The second tip is creating smart choices. Often this happens with productivity. We might have 2, 3 looming deadlines, and we keep procrastinating, and we keep saying, okay, I'll get it I'll do it tomorrow. And then what happens? Now, here you are, it's due tomorrow, and you are stressed out. So you give it a name, right? This task stresses me out. So now here you go again with that cycle. But what happens when you create smart choices? Smart choices are creating choices that are multiple rather than single. So instead of making that task that single choice where you're saying, should I do the task or shouldn't I do the task? What you do is that you create 2 or 3 more choices. Why? Because if you just say, should I do the task and I shouldn't do the task, then it really becomes dreadful. It becomes about navigating between doing it and not doing it. And what you want to do is shift your attention and take it to the ability of actually doing it. So maybe what you can do is create your list, or look at your list and look at the top 3 things that you need to do for the day and say, Should I do A? Should I do B? Or should I do C? So now it's no longer about how you feel about the task. It's about these three things needs to get done. And I need to get it done today or tomorrow, but which one I choose to do first. That's all about smart choices. And the last tip is the what if question. What if is such a powerful statement. Why? Because what if opens to the sort of ability of infinity in a way, because now it's no longer about Jessica. It's no longer about the task that you had to do. It's no longer about the dreadful commute. Now with the what if, it's more about who else you get to become because of all these choices you're making, right? So now, because you created the smart choices around the tasks that you had to do, now you're going even beyond everything, because now the what if is, what if because of this I get a promotion? What if because of this I get to do that sale that I've been trying to do since last year or last month? What if because of this I can change my relationship with Jessica? What if now, it doesn't have to be so toxic. It doesn't have to be a fight every day. What if she actually sees me? She sees my value. And in seeing that, she can change her relationship with me as well. So what if it's just such a powerful way of shifting not just your behavior, but in a way shifting other people's behavior? Because now through your own changes, this person is seeing you. They might not tell you, but they are seeing you. They are noticing you. And the more you behave this way, the more you implement these three strategies on a daily basis, what's going to happen is that stress is going to take a new way in your life. So instead of being this person that kind of like antagonizes stress and it's all about, oh, stress is such a bad thing and I don't want to be stressful. What you do is that you befriend stress. You make friends with stress, and now you learn from it. You learn the lessons that you can then shift or, redo, or you just learn, you learn from this stressful situation, and you learn that stress is just here to inform us. Stress is important. In fact, when you think about back in college, back in, those days when you had to meet those deadlines with papers and stuff, yes, it was stressful, but wasn't it so great to get that A? Wasn't it so great to get that acknowledgement afterwards of saying like, whoa, if I had not put my act together, I would have never completed it. So there's beauty in stress. So my invitation to you is to befriend stress by implementing the three strategies that I share with you today. These same strategies will not only help you at work, but it will also help you in your personal lives. The same way I mentioned it with Jessica and the tasks that you have to do, the same thing would apply if you used to be at home and you're dealing with your children, if you're dealing with your wife, if you're dealing with your siblings. Same thing happens, because it's all about the identity, who you choose to be. Do you choose to be a loving mom? Do you choose to be the supportive dad? Do you choose to be the productive writer that's been trying to write this novel for 10 years? And in selecting your identities, you're automatically eliminating some of those stressors. And of course, there are so many more layers to it. We're going to have other things that we can look into, but unfortunately today I only have 10 minutes. But yeah, there are other layers such as lifestyle. What are you eating? What are you drinking? How are you taking care of yourself? What are some of the self-care activities that you're doing? Of course, you have the stressors, which are some of the ones that I mentioned: anticipatory, time, encounter, situational. So we have so many layers to demystify stress. But the idea today is to just get you to point A to point B in a very effortless way, where it doesn't have to be so complicated. That's it for today. I'm trying to keep mind of time. So I'm open to questions now. Thank you for joining us. And you can definitely type your questions or any comments that you have. It would be appreciated as well. So I'm open for the next, I believe, 15 minutes. And Sergio, thank you so much for your comment. I appreciate it. St. Cray, I appreciate that you enjoyed the session. I'm glad, Valerie, that you enjoyed it as well. Awesome. Yes, it's something I feel that stress is such a, how can I say it, like a overrated word. And sometimes we just need to be a bit more intentional about it. Like, let's not just go around saying everything is stressful, because yes, there's some truth to it. Everything is stressful if you look at it from those lenses. But honestly, when you really break it down the way that I taught you, what you're going to see is that 90% of the stressors that you're going through daily, they have very simple solutions. And the probably 10% is the one that really needs some serious intervention. And that happens a lot with parenting, with supervision. There's just certain areas in our life that's going to be a bit more deeper. So it's going to take a level of intervention that's more complex. But for commute, for relationships at work, for tasks, for, simple things, even making a decision of, should I write that blog post, or should I don't know, go shopping? It shouldn't be that complicated, yet we make it that complicated. So I hope that, okay. Oh, thank you, Sergio. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Yes, and it's really all about befriending stress. I know a lot of people believe in more of like, oh, let's get rid of stress. I'm not that type of person. I'm more like, let's get to know stress. Let's see what's going on with stress, And the same thing happens with emotions, all the time. We talk about anxiety, we talk about anger as these emotions being bad, and they're informing us. Anger, what is anger doing? Anger is informing you that somebody crossed the boundary. For you, it might have not been for that person, but for you, you had a boundary and this person crossed it. So you are entitled to be angry. The question is, what do you do with anger when you get the information? The same thing happens with anxiety. Anxiety is just reminding you that you have deadlines. I get a lot of people sometimes telling me that they want to get rid of anxiety. And I always kind of like counter that and say, you don't need to. In fact, you want to have anxiety in your life because it will make sure you do your work. Anxiety is just informing us that we need to take action. And that might have been weight related. It might be relationship related. It might be parenting related. It's just reminding us. So let's try to be friends with not just stress, but all of our emotions. Okay, so I have Miss Barra here. She's saying she's in final year of college and have almost 12 subjects to cover. Every time I read one subject, I stress and I'm missing out on the other subject. Yeah, I can relate. Thank you for posting that question. Yes, so that is a perfect example of task-related stress. So every time you look at the subject or the description of it, you're already feeling, oh my God, how can I do this? How can I do this? So my question to you, first of all, is there a reason why you're taking 12 subjects? Not for any reason, but I know that it seems like quite a lot. So was there something that happened in your life that maybe led you to have to take all the subjects now together? Or are you doing like some type of specialized program where you're taking advanced classes? Why are you taking so many subjects? Because that seems to be quite, okay, medical, yes, that makes sense. Okay, thank you for answering that. Okay, so you have 12 subjects to cover. So I am going to do the life testing right here. What is your identity? So clearly you're in medical school. I am assuming your identity is to be a doctor. So if you embody the identity of a doctor, what will you do if you have to see 12 patients today? So today you have to see 12 patients and you only have 3 hours to see them. What would a doctor do, assuming you're the identity of the doctor? This is why identity is so important, because it really grounds us. It grounds us to knowing that, okay, I know I have to do 10 things, but right now I must focus on the top 3. So you're a doctor, you're assuming that identity, you have 12 patients to see. Clearly, they all need your attention. They all need your input. They will need your same amount of interest. But how do you choose? How do you choose how you're going to break it up? Your 3 hours. How do you choose? Would it be equally? Perhaps not, right? Perhaps not, because perhaps out of those 12 patients, maybe 9 will have something simple, such as a headache or something that you can quickly diagnose, right? And then probably 3 of them will have something more serious that will require probably labs, more specialist type of follow-up. So my question to you then is, at school with these 12 subjects, although they are clearly important, my question to you is, out of the 12, which ones are the ones you dominate already? Because I am sure that out of those 12, you have different levels of domination. So which are the probably 5 or 6 subjects that you already feel quite confident? You feel like you've read enough. You feel like, I think I can manage this. So assuming the identity that you already are a doctor, you already manage these subjects, then perhaps what you can do is then focus on the ones that you need to learn more about, that you need to feel a bit more confident about. Maybe you know the material, maybe you know a lot of the definitions, terminology, but how confident do you feel? Doesn't make you feel like a doctor. The subjects that doesn't make you feel like a doctor, that doesn't give you the identity of I'm a doctor, those are probably the ones you're going to focus on. So that switches you from being stressed about all subjects to now being stressed about the top 3 or 4. Maybe you dominate 8, and now there's going to be 4 you're going to focus on. The next question is smart choices. So now that you break it down and you start writing it down, now you say, okay, so out of these 4, what do I choose to do? Which ones will I choose to do? And how will I do it? Should I do anatomy, or should I do embryology? Or should I do 3 this morning? And should I do 4 this afternoon? So that's when you start doing your smart choices strategy right there. And then lastly, what if? So this is the powerful question right here, right? What if you just focus on these 4 subjects and you do it the way that you just kind of like structure it? What would happen? And the what if doesn't always have to be positive. What if can also be a negative thing, such as, would I fail? Or, I will pass, but maybe I won't pass with the grade that I want. So these are some of the questions you want to ask. So the way we broke it down, we went from just saying the subject stressed me to now saying, who do I choose to be? What subjects do I choose to focus on? And what if? What are some of the consequences that can happen, positive and negative, by me making these selections? So I hope that answered your question. Yes, like a triage. So basically, I think I said it in the long term, but that's exactly what I meant. So yeah, so hospitals already have that in place, and it works. It works. It's been working forever. So that's exactly what we want to do. We want to do that, and that's a great process to do when you're taking finals and things like that, when you're working with school material. And it's excellent to do at work too. If we all do triage at work, you will be so surprised how much more productive you become and how less stressed you become. So it's almost like it's going to switch for you. So stress levels will go down drastically and productivity will go up. You will go from probably spending, out of an 8-hour workday, 6 hours planning and thinking and creating stories, and then 2 hours of production, to the opposite, where you're actually producing 6 hours and then 2 hours of strategy. Now, one last tip, this is such a bonus one that I'm sending you here, is to be very intentional about how you start your day. I always, I'm like a fan of this. I always say it's very important for you to be very clear and precise, intentional about how you begin your day. Why? Because if you start your day by just getting up, brushing your teeth, running, doing, a bunch of things, and you just rush into school or you rush to work, what might happen is that you're going to deal with a lot of things that you didn't see coming. The stressors are going to be off the roof, versus if you're very intentional and you take at least 5 minutes before you go for your coffee and you go do your morning rituals. You take 5 minutes, and I know some people say journal, but I'm more like a simple type person. Like, if you can do it just by sitting down and kind of like looking at the ceiling, that to me is the way I do it. Just really think about the day that you'd like to have. Think about your meetings. We all know the meetings we have in advance most of the time. So sometimes some people really intimidate us. So think about this person that you're going to meet today, and really think about, imagine how would you like the outcome to be? If it's a sale, for example, imagine lovingly, and more than thinking about making the sale, imagine leveling for the person. What will the person get by getting your service or your product? Think about the benefit of the benefit. And in doing that, you're already setting that intention out there. And believe me, it will influence your choices. It will influence the way that you move around the day. The same thing happens with tasks. Think about, you know what? I really, really want to complete that report today. I intend to do it. Just being so clear and precise, it would literally do half of the work for you. And then the other half, you will have to navigate depending on the stressors and implementing some of the strategies you learned today. But intentionality is powerful. It just kind of like serves as a roadmap. It kind of gives you like that initial push to say, I choose, and it goes back to identity, right? I choose to be productive today. Even doing that in the morning can be powerful, and takes 10 seconds, to actually saying, you know what, today I choose to be a writer. Today I choose to be a student. Today I choose to be a mom. Sometimes for moms, it's very difficult. We're juggling between work and work-life balance and all this stuff. But sometimes you can just choose to say, today I choose to be a loving mom. And that would just put you right where you need to be with your children. So guys, we are 2 minutes away from ending this session. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any more questions, this is the time to ask. I might have time for 1 or 2 more questions, or even any comments that would work too. I really hope everyone enjoyed it, and that you enjoy the rest of these sessions that have been planned for today. Better Habits is really, really intentional about helping people create better habits. So I really hope that you can enjoy the rest of your day. And I am imaginally leveling for all of you. So thank you for being here. Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. Great. Thank you, Sergio. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm not going to make you late. Please go to your next session. Take care. Oh, and by the way, one last thing, you will be receiving recordings. I'm not sure if that information was given to you, but every session will be recorded. So you can always, rewatch if you want to go back and take notes. Awesome. All right. Well, nice meeting you guys. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.